back then when we dug it out, and it was always referred to as the no-name lake. And there were several attempts to name it at one point in time. George put out something.
We called it hidden lake.
That was-
Hidden Valley,
It was definitely a hidden lake, I guess, that.
Hidden Valley, hidden thing.
I mean, and I heard talk one time about putting canoes down there for people to use, but it's mud. It's gonna be mud
It's mud, you know, it's gonna be mosquito haven if it's not, you know.
if we don't put
so,
plants down
Yeah,
there.
so you wanna write something up that we can.
Sure, I'll add that to the list after Muller Park.
Okay, yeah, perfect. Perfect. I mean, we don't need to do anything quickly with it, so. Anyway. All right, I'm moving to some current active business. Electrical, bait fish, and small lake study. This has been just, it has fallen far short this year, but a lot of it, I think, is our vendor has been coming at us very last minute, asking us for dates or telling us, well, we don't have a boat available, things like that.
The electrical is scheduled
That's where you're asking the
for
recap
the
meeting.
24th, Tuesday the 24th.
Tuesday the 24th
Yes,
for the electric call.
the electrical call, yes.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah,
And then if it's possible, to still get bait fish before it gets too cold.
Yeah.
I mean, we'll just have to see on that.
I mean, they should be able to answer that question pretty easily. I would think they would stock later in the season.
Yeah, it depends on their, what they have available too, because, we don't want the little bitty ones.
Right.
So we'll just have to see what they have.
Also, do we, well, no, we said we wanted to have the call done before we put bait fish in, so we don't really want to defer bait fish to next year. Because now you've got,
Try not to.
yeah, if we can avoid it. Okay.
Right. I mean, if it doesn't happen this year, then we'll be double next year.
We'll do something.
Yeah.
We'll figure something out.
I mean, it'll be interesting to see how, successful that electric.
Yeah, I mean, I'm wondering how successful the call will be, especially now that the water's starting to cool off, maybe
Right.
a little deeper. I would have been hopeful to have done this back in like August.
Yeah, the water was like 70, 72.
Yeah,
10 degrees below normal right now.
yeah, that's pretty cool, and it's gonna be pretty cool for the next
It's
week
gonna
or
be 80
so.
tomorrow.
Yeah, but yeah, over the weekend, I mean,
No.
yeah. Well, anyway, okay.
John, can you talk to, Ken? He was asking instead of, bait fish, he was talking about
Shad.
red fin shad.
Shad instead of
Yeah.
shiners.
Water's in now.
And that's why there's a reason, and I just want you to ask if you guys can talk.
Well, there's not even in the same ballpark as gizzard shad, the threadfin shad. Gizzard shad, hell no. Because they'll grow
Right, no,
12,
You're
15
talking about
inches
the
and take
threadfin,
over, but threadfin shad will not. Threadfin shad is very similar to a golden shiner. The difference is gonna be, and I talked to Jones, I talked to Alex about this,
okay,
that is the threadfin shad this far north. There's nothing bad about threadfin shad in our lake, or in a lake.
And that's because they don't grow to size.
Huge, yeah.
Yeah,
The bass would get them in check.
The other question is, do they reproduce so that you kind of have, like, what's left will reproduce, so you kind of build in your own?
that's the theory, that's the hope.
Because the golden shiners are really not getting that, right?
It's hard to tell, because we've done it, 3 years, so, it's hard to tell.
Yeah.
I mean, have we seen any? I don't know. I mean, but there's fathead minnows also. When I talked to Alex, he talked about fathead minnows. So we talked about the shiners, the fathead minnows, and the threadfin. Fathead's what we used to use most of the time, so we used to put in more. And then they went from that to the shiners.
What's better about the shiners than, or what's better about the shad than the shiners? Why is
Threadfin shad,
They're more likely to
Price?
reproduce.
Price.
they're more likely to reproduce, the threadfin shad. They will 3-4 times a year, and they don't get too big.
right?
It's just, will they survive this far north, and then what's the price? Because they are more expensive than shiners with fatheads.
Okay. What's the least expensive option? The fatheads?
I mean, the shiners and the fatheads are about the same.
Not the same.
Yeah.
To have a reproducing, like, stocking of golden shiners, it was like You remember what
It was ungodly the amount that we were at.
I think Alex quoted
Yeah,
us.
it was a ridiculous amount that just, wasn't feasible.
Well, what we're trying to do really is just take pressure off of the small crappie and bluegill that are in the lake, as far as the bass going after them, to give them something else to kind of go for, right? I mean, that's kind of been the purpose, at least as I understood the purpose of putting in some additional bait fish.
Well,
Because,
it's two-pronged, taking out the slots and
Yeah.
adding some more bait
Right.
fish, yeah, because that's what the surveys have said the last 4 that I, went and
Right.
looked at. Have all said that. I mean, the bluegill and crappie population is good. I
Yeah.
mean, we catch some massive crappie and bluegill.
are we getting the small enough ones that the bass eat in number that you can kind of keep that population self-sustaining, but also feeding? Because I mean, those are kind of feeder fish
It's
as
just
much as anything else.
It's continuing to get the slot fish out.
Yep.
And then adding, it's always
Yeah.
gonna, I don't see that going away. I mean,
Yeah.
in my opinion, we need to always take out the slot fish because they're just gonna keep, they're just gonna keep spawning, there's gonna be more of them.
Right, Alex has been beating that